Hi, this is Mashnu, and this what I'm going to show you now is one of my favorite training methods. It is the so-called guess the move method. We replay a game played by grandmasters and we try to guess each next move, starting from a middle game position. To do this, well, what I do is I use my chess software and I close the engine window and I close the notation window, so the only thing I see is this chessboard, and with the arrows I can play through the game, so move by move. And it wouldn't be a good idea to try to guess the next move right now, because in this type of theoretical positions there are so many possibilities. Here, for example, queen to c2 is an option, e3 is an option, knight to f3 is an option, f3 or a3. There are so many variations that it wouldn't make sense in trying to guess the next move yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move forwards. Okay, e3 is played here. This is called the Rubinstein variation, by the way, e3 against an Inso-Indian defense. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move forward until there comes a point where there is really a middle game position and we can start trying to guess the next move. So let's see, it should be around here, I think. Bishop to g4. Okay, let's start here. Let's start in this position. So what we are going to do is we're going to think as if we were playing with the white pieces. Now this game, I know the result of the game. It was won by white. That's why I'm choosing the white side to do this exercise. It was played between Ivan Sokolov with white against Garry Kasparov with black. So Sokolov won this game against Garry Kasparov in 1999. So if you would like to join me, let's start thinking about this position and what to do. And we'll see if we can beat Kasparov. Okay. Well, one of the first things here is that this c5 pawn is hanging, but on the other hand, black is threatening to take on f3 and give us a double pawn. Also, if we take on c5 with the queen, also the e4 pawn will be hanging. We do have a pair of bishops and two beautiful central pawns on d4 and e4. We also need to activate the rooks also later. So bishop to g4 was the move played by Kasparov, the last move. What should we do now? Pushing the d pawn doesn't make much sense, because then knight goes to e5 and he has more pressure here on f3. So if we would do that, then bishop takes f3, g takes f3, knight to e5. It doesn't help us. So we need to stay with this pawn on d4. Perhaps opening the diagonal, this long diagonal, by playing e5 could be an idea, but I'm also worried about this f3. So perhaps knight to g5 could be an option. If knight to g5, then black plays h6, and we still have a problem with this knight. Whether it goes to h3 or f3, it will be taken by the bishop. Now I don't like the idea of bishop to e2 because of, well, yeah, it doesn't work because of this pawn hangs on e4, and also it's placing the bishop on a very passive square. So it looks as if we should accept that black will take on f3. Can we create a counter threat? If we allow him to take on f3, g takes f3, knight takes d4, that's the threat. Let's see. So this is quite an annoying threat. We cannot play knight to e5, queen to e2. It doesn't look good to pin this queen. Queen to e2, then this knight is pinned and the pawn is pinned as well. Perhaps bishop to b2. Bishop to b2 to defend d4 and prepare eventually advancing this pawn here. So let's calculate bishop to b2. Bishop takes f3. G takes f3. And then perhaps d5. The knight goes to e5, threatening to take here. How about e5? e5, bishop takes f3, and then instead of retaking on f3, playing e takes f6. That looks interesting. Okay, let's see. e5, bishop takes f3, e takes f6. If g takes f6, then g takes f3. And we have also bishop takes h7. This looks interesting. e5. If he goes away with the knight, let's say e5, knight to d5. e5, knight to d5, then bishop takes h7 check, followed by queen to e4. That's interesting. Okay, I'll make a decision. I'll go for e5 here. What do you think? The next move of white. Okay, I'm going to use the arrow forward to see the next move. Yes, e5. Okay, and let's see the counter move of black. He takes on f3. Okay, so the next move, my idea was to take on f6 here. He takes f6. He takes f6. Yeah, it looks like the best thing to do. We're opening nice diagonals towards the black king. Yeah, it's actually the only option, I think. I mean, yeah, e takes f6. Yeah, I'll go for e takes f6 now. Let's see. Yes. And black plays, ooh, knight takes d4. I didn't see this. Perhaps we should have thought a little longer here, but okay, so he's attacking the queen. A strong place for this knight. Strong square. Well, we could take on h7. Bishop takes h7 check, and if king to f8 or h8, then we play f6 takes g7 check. Let's see. Bishop h7 check, king h8, f takes g7, king takes g7, then still the queen is attacked. We need to play then queen to d3 probably, because we have to stay in this diagonal to defend the bishop that is on h7 then. Yeah, and any other queen move right now wouldn't improve our position. If we play queen to where? Queen to c3, he has knight e2 check, bishop takes, rook, bishop takes again. No, bishop takes h7 seems like the only really active way of playing this position. Yeah, bishop takes f7. Let's see. Yeah, bishop, king to h8. Yeah, so now taking on g7 is the most logical idea, because if we don't, if we go for example with the queen to d3 now, then he might play g6, and the bishop is locked in on h7, so we need to take on g7 here. Yes, f takes g7. Yes, and king takes g7. Okay, and now the queen is under attack. Queen to d3 was my idea, and I think that this is the only option. On the other hand, there is bishop to e2 then, but we have a check on g3. No, it doesn't work. Oops. Let's see. Queen to d3, bishop e2, queen to d2, or right now perhaps queen to d2, threatening queen to h6, queen to d2, queen to d2. If he gives a check on e2 with the knight, then king to h1. This gets wild. I'm looking also at a possible sacrifice of black on g2. Let's say queen to d2 and then knight to e2 check, king to h1, bishop takes g2, king takes g2. Does this have any future? No, I don't think it's correct for black. So queen to d2 looks good. If it takes on h7, let's calculate. Queen to d2, king takes h7, queen h6 check, king goes to g8, and then it looks good for me. We could try something like bishop to g5 and bishop to f6. With mate on g7. Let's see if this is going to work. Queen to d2, king takes h7, queen h6 check, king to g8. We could also then take on f3 with the idea of after knight takes f3 check, king to h1. Yeah, and then rook to g1. Is that correct? No, it's not correct. Still, it looks so promising. And I don't see any other option. Okay, we have to make a decision, because if we think too long, this video will last for hours, and that's not my idea. When I do this exercise, I normally, in this type of positions, I take 5 to 10 minutes to really think. I'll go for queen to d2 here. Alright, let's have a look. No, bishop to b2, pinning the knight. Simple idea. Why didn't I think about this? Okay, let's see, what does he do? A rook to d8, Kasparov. So again, now the knight is pinned on d4, so we can take on f3, right? G takes f3. Why did he play rook to d8 instead of removing his bishop from f3? G takes f3. Is he going to play now? I don't see any disadvantage of G takes f3. Perhaps G takes f3, he plays rook to h8, threatening the bishop on h7, and if we remove the bishop, then there is queen takes h2 checkmate. So g takes f3, rook to h8. If the bishop goes away, there is queen takes h2, checkmate. So g takes f3, queen to h8. What can we do then? So then he recaptures the bishop on h7. So he does. We don't win a piece here. We take rook h8, and then we have to give this bishop. Perhaps g takes f3, rook to h8, king to h1. If rook takes h7, then rook g1 check, followed by rook to g2, defending h2. That looks good. That looks good. Yeah. The knight is pinned. We don't need to worry about that. And after rook to g1, rook to g2, we can even bring the other rook to the g file later. Yeah, I'll go for g takes f3. That's my next move. Let's have a look. Yes, and counter move is rook to h8. Okay, so my idea was here king to h1. Let's have a short look at queen to e4. Because queen to e4, rook takes h7. Do we have anything with this check on g4? No, there's nothing. No, we need to. The most safe thing is king to h1. If it takes on h7, then rook g1 check, followed by rook to g2, and the other rook to g1. And we have all our pieces directed to the enemy king. So yes, my next move is king to h1. Yes. He takes the bishop, so now rook to g1 check. Let's have a quick look if there's anything else. Yes, now I must do this because otherwise it's checkmate on h2. So yeah, rook to g1 is my next move. Let's see. Yes, king goes to h8. So now rook to g2, followed by rook a1 to g1, and perhaps something like queen to f5. This knight is pinned, so he cannot take me. And then queen to f6 is a threat, threatening a almost checkmate. Well, rook to g2 is the only move, I think. So I'll go for rook to g2 here. Let's see. Oh, rook to g3. Well, it's the same idea. Well, it's actually a bit better because he also protects. No, but well, all right. He blocks the diagonal towards h2. And let's see the counter move. Queen to e5. Okay, he wants to go to h5. That's why I thought queen to g2 perhaps was, I don't know, perhaps was a bit better. I'm not sure. Anyway, if we bring now the other rook to g1 and he plays queen to h5, we can still play a rook 1 g1 to g2 defending h2. Also an idea could be what happens after trading of queens. Queen to e4, queen takes e4, f takes e4. Not sure. This knight is very strong there. Now I think we should go for rook a to g1 now. Knight to e. No, it's not possible. There is a pin there. So yeah, rook a to g1. That's my next move. Yes. And black plays. Rook to h4. So preventing queen to e4 perhaps. Why does he play queen to rook to h4? Or does he want to play perhaps something like rook to f4? Strange. What to do next? We have this beautiful two rooks on the G file, but the rook on G3 is unable to move because of the checkmate threat on H2. If we could pile up also the queen on G2, so queen, no, not D1, queen C1, queen F1, queen G2, queen. It's too slow. Let's see if there is anything quicker. Because I was just fantasizing that if this queen on C2 would be on G2, then we would threat rook to G8 check. If king to H7, queen to G7 check, queen takes G7, rook G1 takes G7, king to H6, and then bishop to C1 check. If the king goes forward, then we have checkmate here. But to do that, we need 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Let's calculate. Queen to either B1, C1 or D1. That's the first move. Let's say queen to C1. Black can, no, I cannot take there. Queen to C1. If you place queen to H5, threatening mate on H2, we would have to play rook to G2. Then queen to G1. Or perhaps another idea would be to play queen to C4. Queen to C4 with the idea of taking here. So queen to C4. If he goes queen to H5, he threatens mate here and defends F7. No, this doesn't look good. So this knight on the same rank as the rook. Difficult. Well, I have to make a decision here. Yeah, I'll go for queen to C1 or D1. D1, I don't need to be afraid of this knight going away because the bishop takes here with check. But queen to C1. Okay, I'll go for queen to C1 or queen to D1. I'm not sure. Okay, let's have a look what happened. Queen to C1. Okay. And the response of black, king to H7. So no queen to H5. If I play queen to F1 now, queen to F1 followed by queen to G2, looks quite logical, doesn't it? Queen to F1. If then queen to H5, then queen to G2, and I have a beautiful threat on G7. Yeah, I'll go for queen to f1. Yes, that's my move, queen to f1. Let's have a look. Queen to b1. Queen to b1 check. Let's see. King to h8. Strange. Why is this check? I don't get it. Why was queen to f1 wrong? Did we miss something? What did we miss? I still think the idea of queen to f1, queen to g2 must be correct. Is there anything else? No, I don't know. Yeah, I'll go for queen to f1 again, because, and later I want to have a look with the engine why queen to f1 is not correct. I think it must be good. And also after queen to f1 we also have the idea of perhaps bringing rook to h3. If rook takes f3, then queen takes f3, checkmate. So it has two possibilities. So yeah, I'll go one more time again for queen to f1. Let's have a look. Yes, okay, now it's played. I wonder why not one move before, but well, perhaps there was a slight difference. Let's see the counter move. Queen to e6. Okay, so he's preventing rook to h3. So now queen to g2. Queen to g2, threatening queen to rook to g8 check, followed by checkmate on g7. I don't see how he would prevent this. Queen to g2. If he plays queen to h6, then still rook to g8 is winning at least a rook. Yeah, queen to g2 must be the correct move here. That's my move, queen to g2. And it is, and there is no counter move. So here is the result. Black resigns. Let's have a short look, because I was wondering. Let's go back. Let's go back to the initial position where we started and have a short look with the so here's where we started. I'll put the engine on now. Okay, and let's see. e5, bishop takes f3, e takes f6. Actually the engine finds that the position of black is a bit better here. Knight takes d4, bishop takes h7, king h8, f takes g7, king takes, bishop to b2. I missed this one. Yeah, I missed that one. Rook a to d8, g takes 3, rook to h8. I also missed this counter move. Rook to h8 is a good one. King to h1 takes. Now rook to g1 check. Now here, why not rook to g2? Let's have a look. If I would play rook to g2 here, what does the engine say? It says that, well, there is a slight advantage for black, and after rook to g3, well, it's almost the same. Equality, perhaps a slight advantage for black. So what was the big mistake of black then? He went here, the position is still equal according to the engine. Rook to g1, rook. Okay, here there is a jump in the evaluation. After rook to h4, it actually says that in this position queen to h5 was better. That's also, I think, the move that I expected. And then I wanted to play a rook 1 to g2. We do have perhaps some background problems then. Rook to e8, threatening rook to e1 check. So we would need to cover this e1 square with bishop to e3. Then perhaps b5, a5, b4, things like that. Okay, it's interesting. It's interesting because here after rook to h4 the evaluation jumps to advantage for white, but not after queen to c1, but after the move f4. Oh, what is strange. What is this? f4 doesn't look good. According to the engine, this is the best move. What if queen takes f4? And queen takes c5. And if queen takes f2 now? Oh, this bishop takes d4 check. No, this doesn't work. Let's have a look. This is a computer analysis, and it says that this is one for white. After rook to this is a beautiful move, rook to g4. Wow, queen sec. If this is taken, then there's checkmate here in 2 moves. Well, I think those are the things that computers can calculate so well, but we don't. Well, anyway, queen to c1 played in the game, king to h7, and now why not rook to queen to f1, because that was my move, queen to f1 right now. Let's see. Computer says rook to g8. Rook to because we cannot take here because of this checkmate on h2. Exactly. And if we go now to g2, then he can trade one rook, f takes, and then go away with this one, and we don't have any threat here. Oh, that's interesting. This is really interesting. So this was the idea behind this check on b1. After this check on after this check on b1, then king to h8, and now queen to f1, because if rook to g8 now, then there is rook takes g8 check, and that's the difference. So that was the idea behind this in between check, to bring the king to h8. By the way, could the king go to h6 here, or is that nonsense? Let's see. Bishop c1 check. This looks dangerous for black. Yeah, it's over. It's just check here and then it's over, right? Or even queen h7 checkmate. It's checkmating 1. Okay, so the king must go to h8, and then only queen f1 with the idea queen to g2. And here there is no way to save the game for white. If, for example, queen to f6, the idea is to give a check here. Retaken doesn't work, so he should move to h7. Now we don't win a rook here, but we do have queen to g7. If queen takes g7, then rook 1 takes g7, and we have this check on c1. Check on c1. King goes here, and checkmate on h7. Okay, interesting middle game and finishing by Ivan Sokolov against Garry Kasparov. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this one, and believe me, this is one of the best ways to improve your chess. So use this method as much as you can. Alright, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.